Okay, in this section, we're going to start looking at the different synths within Live. That is to say, instruments. So these instruments are all the different synthesizers, samplers, sound-making things of Live. We are going to go really deep into using all of these when we get into the sound design class in this series. But for now, I just want to get us comfortable making some music with these synths without knowing what every single dial does. We already know the drum rack, so we're off to a good start. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to take this clip, or this drum pattern, these three things, I'm just going to put them out here. And then I'm going to, paste them a whole bunch so I have some room to play. That was just Command D for all of that. Okay, so now here's what we got. I kind of love this groove. I'm like super into it. Okay, great. So for each of these synths, they each kind of do their own thing. You can kind of ignore for the moment these DS things. Those are Max for Live devices, and they're a little different. We will look at those, but hold off on those for now. Our main instruments are these other ones. And each one of these have their own kind of thing that they do particularly well. However, they are also really versatile. So I couldn't go through and say like, this one is good for bass lines, and this one's good for leads, and this one's good for pads. Like, I couldn't really say that because they're all kind of good at everything, or at least most of them. But they do kind of have different characteristics. Like Collision is particularly good for percussion-y things. Electric is particularly good at electric pianos, Rhodes, organ, that kind of sound. Tension is good for string-like things. So let's load one up. We've got two ways we can load up one of these synths. Let's go to Wavetable. Okay, Wavetable is probably one of the most complex synths we have, but that's okay. I can just drag a wavetable right on a track, but I don't want to put this one here because I do have this percussion here. So I'm just going to drag it down here, and it's going to make a new MIDI track. There it is. I can open it up right there. And there's no MIDI information on it because I just dragged an instrument on it. I didn't do anything else. So I didn't make any material for that instrument yet. Now remember the way MIDI works in that every MIDI track can have an instrument on it, only one instrument. So if I was to put this instrument on this track, it's going to get rid of my drum rack. Okay, so that's why I made a new track. So the next thing I'm going to want to do is make a MIDI clip. I just double clicked, make some notes. I can start experimenting with different settings in the instrument, in this case wavetable. So let's put something here. Let's do F, A flat, C. I'm just going to make a little F minor triad, and we'll just hold it for this whole thing. Okay, now let's play it. Okay, that's really long. Let's cut that in half or more. Let's just go to there. And then maybe we'll do another chord. So I'm going to highlight those, Command D, and then let's go to F sharp, G sharp. Let's do that. That's kind of weird. Let's try that. That's a weird chord. It's a start. Now let's maybe make another one. And we'll go... a G chord. I'm just kind of using music theory to sort of decide what notes to pick here. Okay, let's try that. So here is my weird little chord progression. Let's loop it. Okay, that's fine. We'll just play with that for now. But now let's experiment with different sounds. That one that we have is pretty bland. Let's see if we can find something with a little more rhythm to it and a little more excitement. So let's explore just the different presets that we can have. Okay, so we made some MIDI notes. Let's look at what we have to play with. We can program wavetable all we want. I'm going to hit Shift Tab and get me back over to wavetable. This is a complicated instrument. I can build all kinds of crazy stuff here. But since we haven't really explored how it works yet, let's start by just playing around with some of our presets. So if I go here to wavetable and open this up, we have all of our different presets here. Okay, so I could say evolve organ. Sure, here a little preview of it. Let's try that one. Okay, so I just drag that preset right on the track and we're good to go. Okay, this is interesting. So this particular preset is monophonic, meaning it can only play one note at a time. That setting is right here. So let's turn that off so that it can play the full chord. And interestingly, the pattern that this one is set up to do is a triplet. We just learned what triplets are. You can tell because it's going 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. It's a triplet. Actually, it's a little off of a triplet, but it's close to a triplet. Okay, I don't really like that synth anymore, so let's keep exploring. Remember that we have this up here, which I believe was called sounds, and I renamed mine synth presets. This is like all of our presets. So let's try searching for what we're really looking for. How about rhythmic? Let's just say rhythmic. And now I'm going to go here and say sounds. Maybe a pad is the kind of thing I want. Rhythmic pad. It gave me 2. That's kind of cool. That's cool too. Let's try that one. Now, what instrument are these? Before I drag this onto our track, let's explore this a little bit. Which instruments are these? We don't really know just by looking at these presets. We don't know what instrument they are. Does it matter? No, Doesn't matter at all. I'm going to drag this preset over onto this track, and it's going to switch my instrument to whatever it needs to switch it to. In this case, it switched it to an operator. Okay, great. So my wavetable instrument is gone, and now I'm on an operator, and that's fine. So when you're working with these presets, Live really doesn't care what instrument you have on the track. If you drag a preset for a different instrument onto that track, it's just going to switch you to that other instrument, which is great. Makes things easy. Let's hear what we got now. I kind of like this one. Okay, that's got potential. I want to leave this one on here, but I also want to keep experimenting. So what I'm going to do is duplicate this track, and then I'm going to take this and go over here. Move my loop brace over here. Okay, so now let's experiment with this one. So let's see if we like this rhythmic one. Kind of do like it. Let's do a third one. Move my loop brace over again. All right, let's try not pad, but keys. Is that the same one we just used? How about ambience and effects? Not really wild about any of those. How about guitar and plucked? That's kind of interesting. Let's go back to piano. Kind of like that one. This one is monophonic also. So this one's monophonic. It's not really getting what I want. Let's try. Okay, let's try switching our word to piano. Find various pianos. Kind of like that one. So we'll use this one just to accent it. I'm going to rearrange these notes a little bit. I just want to spread the notes out a little bit to get a better voicing for the piano. It'll sound a little bit better. Okay, so I've experimented with presets, found 3 things that I liked. What else can I do with this? Let's experiment with layering them. Layering synths is one of my favorite things to do. It's like quick and dirty sound design in a way. We can take multiple synths and layer them to make something new and unique, and it's a very simple technique, right? So let's go back to this first one. Okay, that's cool. Let's check out what this one is, and let's check out what this one is. Okay, what if I did all 3 of these at the same time? I'm going to need to balance them a little bit. I want a little bit more on that. I think a little bit less on that. And let's try it. Let's loop this section. Okay, it's cool. I'm kind of into it, but you know what? It's just missing is a bass. So let's find a cool bass sound. We could try this. I don't think it's going to work, but we'll do it. Okay, so I just made a new track with that bass sound on it. I'm going to take this, both these clips, copy, and paste. Now a good bass sound is going to be monophonic, or at least a good bass line is going to be monophonic. So in this case, I can just delete those two things and take this down an octave, 2 octaves. So going to highlight these two, press delete, highlight these two, shift, arrow key down twice. Okay, let's hear it now. Okay, that bass, yeah, it's a little too much for me, but I'm okay with it for now. Let's maybe arrange this a little bit, because we could take this bass line, duplicate it, and then maybe in this next one, we have just these 3. And then if we want to, maybe we want to make way for a verse, so we're going to do just these 2 or something. When you're layering synth, there's just a lot of variation you can do because you've got all these different elements to the sound. So now listen to the kind of start of an arrangement that we have. Maybe here the bass line should come out. Okay, so we've got some interesting things started, right? Now what I'm kind of tempted to do is put an arpeggiator on this, or use some of our new MIDI tools to transform and come up with some new creative ideas. So let's start fresh and go over to exploring those new MIDI transform and generate tools. That's these down here, where we can really have Live make some stuff for us. This is really fun. But before we do that, I want to give you this session again, but it's going to require us to freeze and flatten. So let's talk through why we need to do that right now. Okay, we know now what freezing and flattening is, and here's why I'm going to do it. These synth patches, if I just send you this session, and if you have the same version of Live that I do with the same synth patches, this will sound great. But if you don't, this will sound probably like nothing. If Live can't find this synth patch, it's going to just not play that clip. And so when you've got a lot of MIDI clips and you want to make sure that it gets played correctly, you want to flatten them so that it sends it as a WAV file. So I'm going to give you this session as both, with these flattened and with these out, with these just normal. Okay, so let's flatten these. So I'm going to go to this track, control click, and go to freeze and flatten. That's going to turn this into an audio file. Okay, same thing here, freeze and flatten. And you'll notice that like this one, it went longer than the MIDI was. It's because the sound just trails off and it wants to capture that sound. Now you may notice that I have to freeze and flatten an entire track. I can't do this just for a segment. Like I can't just like say I just want to flatten that. It's going to be the whole track. Okay, let's do it with this also. Basically, I'm going to do it with all my MIDI stuff. Okay, this one also. And this one. Okay, so now, if you don't have the right patches, anything like that, it doesn't really matter because we're just going to be playing audio files. So you just need to make sure that you get the right audio files. So I'm going to save this one and then I'm going to make sure I do the collect all and save step so that you get all of these audio files with it. Okay, so play around with this if you want, but this is a great case for doing the freeze and flatten process.